Okay, financial advisors, you need to shut the F up and listen. So says Matt Halloran, who is our most recent guest at www.goRIA.com. I did a podcast with him just a few weeks ago, and the final version is up on the website right this moment. It just dropped this morning. And together, Matt and I talk about his brand new book, Shut the F Up and Listen. And joking aside, it's obviously a very catchy title, needless to say. Great clickbait, I suppose. But it also is a really important topic that he brings up, which is some real fine points on how to really sharpen up your communication skills with your clients. And as the name of the book kind of gives away, it starts off with listening. And more important than just active listening, he talks about engaged listening, which is not a semantic difference. It's actually a very real difference. And he goes into this. And as always, on these Wednesday afternoons, I'm going to give you a little taste of the podcast in just a moment. But just to put a point on how important this particular topic is, Matt brought up a really interesting and kind of a disturbing statistic, which is something to the order of 75% of clients of financial advisors are thinking about leaving that financial advisor. And the number one reason for that is poor communication. So take a little listen on what Matt and I spoke about on the podcast that is, again, up on goRIA.com right now. Here's a little taste. Okay.
This is a book for leaders. This is for people who are in relationships. This is for salespeople, and it is for business owners. I wrote a book that has a lot of exercises and actions in order to make it so that you can practice these different types of listening that I teach in the book and abandon active listening and start learning what I call engaged listening.
Right. So we've heard a lot about active listening. You're talking about engaged listening. What's the difference?
Active listening is very, very passive with no intention. Your goal with active listening is to just show the other person, it's really keeping up appearances that you're paying attention. Okay. That's really not what I refer to as engaged listening or deep listening. Deep listening is you're going into the conversation with a specific desired outcome that isn't as focused on you, it's as focused on the relationship that you're trying to build. So it's a very, very different sort of approach. There isn't a lot of, okay, yeah, wow, because what you're doing in active listening is trying to show that there's a connection, and what you're actually doing is you're not listening to listen, you're listening to respond. And one of my favorite things to talk about with this, and by the way, advisors do this all the time, is a client will say something that you know that you want to address. And so let's say they're 2.5 minutes into a 5-minute answer to your question, but you hear something 2.5 minutes in, you just lost the other 2.5 minutes because your brain cannot, I don't care how smart you think you are, can't hold real space between I need to ask this question and this is what they're saying. You lose 50% of what's going on there. When you learn how to listen, which is basically why the book is titled Shut the F Up and Listen, is just shutting up, staying in your silence, formulating the question after the person is done communicating their entire line of thought, that fundamentally changes everything.
Okay. Yeah.
I love you, dude. I was hoping you'd do something like that.
All right. So that gives me a little bit of an idea of what you're talking about in this book. And you mentioned also you have some exercises in the book.
Yeah.
Is there one we can just whip out right now? And just
Absolutely.
Try to do?
So this is a fantastic opportunity for anybody. And so this isn't something that you would do necessarily at work.
As you can see, Matt and I, we've worked together a few times, my being on his podcast, his coming on mine. And it's just always a great time. Now, not only is it just fun, but he really gives some excellent examples. And we even went through some exercises. And I love these types of exercises because it makes the concept very, very real, very, very tangible. So if you're looking to, do a little checkup on your communication skills, especially as it relates to your clients, this is a podcast really worth taking a listen to. And of course, if you're looking to maintain maximum retention of your clients, and which financial advisor is not, this really puts a point on how important communication skills are. And of course, the most important part is not the speaking part, it's the listening, as I think a lot of us know. But Matt brought up a lot of points that I think are super interesting and very valuable to try to incorporate into your work with clients. So it's up right now. It's the first podcast right up on top at www.goRIA.com. So give it a listen. And that's it for this week. So on behalf of goRIA, fueled by Investment News, I'm Chuck Vela. I will see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Thanks for joining us. Take care.